Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Let's just wait for a minute. I see people joining in. All right, let's get started. So very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on the time zone you're watching us. A very warm welcome to all of you who are present here. Today we are covering an interesting topic on SAP BTP, that is migration of on-prem integration scenario to cloud, concentration and the limitations. To cover this, we have two experienced gentlemen in this area. Mr. Sridhar Oruganti, he's Global Lead SAP Platform Technology and SAP Infra Services. And also Mr. MVSR Prasad, he's also Global Lead SAP Platform and Technology and Innovation, leading this. Quite an interesting topic, tools and services, and also what's the business value and impact of the overall offering here. Over to you, Mr. Sridhar.
Hey, thanks, Naveen. Just to give another recap on the agenda, we will quickly see what all we would generally want to achieve when it comes to moving towards a modern platform SAP integration, and why to move and how to move, what all the various best practices or guidelines that we should ideally be following while moving the interfaces and the integrations to SAP Integration Suite, and what all the various tools and services that are offered by SAP and some partners, and some business value and impact, that we would see, and the interfaces were moved to the SAP Integration Suite. We'll cover that, but before that, a quick recap on the history of SAP's integration solutions. Many of you have been actually watching SAP's journey. If you see, SAP long back, somewhere in the early 2000s, SAP XI, Exchange Infrastructure, I still remember those days, wherein we used to use XI 3.0 or maybe 3.1 of those kind of versions those days. SAP Exchange Infrastructure or SAP XI used to be the integrated integration platform or the integration solution from SAP. That used to be the middleware. It came a long way. That was almost 20 years ago, right? Quite a lot of things have changed. And during this journey, SAP XI eventually became SAP PI, PO, and then SAP Process Integration, SAP Process Orchestration when I meant PI, PO. We will quickly also recap what PI, PO is all about. And then around early or late 2015, around that time frame, if I recall the years correctly, SAP HANA Cloud Integration, SAP Cloud Platform Integration, those were the components that were introduced. Those were the integration solutions that SAP started, that was one of the steps towards moving towards the modern platforms of integration solutions. There were quite a lot of integration solutions in the market by then, and SAP also started modernizing their platforms. And last but not the least, where we are today, and the SAP Integration Suite is a solution which is actually as part of the SAP BTP platform. And SAP BTP is the one that we have been covering, and SAP Integration Suite also was covered as the initial, or rather one of the components in our initial episode. And the SAP BTP, how SAP Integration Suite actually helped, and what all various solutions we have already delivered for various customers. One of the solution that was delivered to our customers, HB Fuller, how that solution was actually kind of also won the Hack to Build event. All those were discussed. So I would request you all to go back to the URL that is going to be shared in the chat session here, wherein you can actually find the recording of all of these two, plus this one as well later, wherein you can actually see all this, including a little more explanation around what is SAP Integration Suite and so on. Moving on. What is PIPO? I don't think this really needs any introduction, so I'll be quick here. This was one of the old, I would not call old, because it is still there in existence. So, but this was introduced, maybe 2005-6 days. So SAP PIPO was an on-prem solution. This is the NetWeaver stack. On top of that, various components like the AEX component, business process management component, and the BRM business rules management component used to sit together. And this component, this entire portfolio of the products put together, SAP used to refer to this as SAP PIPO. And this used to be the solution, the go-to solution as far as SAP or non-SAP integrations is concerned, especially if the integration involves an SAP system. This used to be the de facto integration solution that many customers have been using even till today. But things have changed. Quite a lot of things have happened. In between, technologies have changed. Open source technologies have come into play, and alongside the same time, SAP also started modernizing, simplifying many of these products, including the technology and the platform products. SAP Integration Suite happened to be one of those. And this is what SAP Integration Suite looks like. SAP Integration Suite is the modern platform from SAP as far as integration is concerned. This is their middleware, go-to middleware going forward. There is also an end of maintenance that is called on PIPO component, which we will also go through. And what are the motivations behind moving integrations from the quote-unquote older technology of PIPO to a newer SaaS, software as a service-based technology in the modern world. We will actually see all that. But in short, this being the platform that comes with quite a lot of pre-built integrations. As on today, this number would have already changed. When we were putting this information together, there were 2,400 plus pre-built integrations with both SAP and non-SAP products. So, if you see, my colleague, Prasad would actually take us through the details shortly. But if you see, there are quite a lot of products for each of these business process scenarios. Lead to cash scenarios, source to pay or procure to pay scenarios, hire to retire, predominantly on the HCM functionalities, plan to production on the manufacturing side, government and document compliance related integrations. They're all integrated. They're all those all integrations are possible. Obviously, that being an integrated solution or the integration middleware platform. But more importantly, the pre-built integrations exist. So we can actually utilize based on the scenario that we are trying to implement, and accordingly, the pre-built integrations can be used. A lot of hard work that we used to do in the olden days, wherein we start from the scratch of mapping the source and the target systems, data points, and the structures and so on. All those can be accelerated by using all these built-in integrations. So, Prasad, would you actually take over and start providing us with additional details at a deeper level, please?
Yeah, thanks, Renu. First of all, glad to be part of this particular webinar, and Happy New Year to all participants. So basically, Sridhar explained in terms of the journey of SAP integration solutions. So way back in 2003, and we had what we call the exchange infrastructure. And now SAP, from past 2 decades, SAP focused on how systems in heterogeneous and hybrid landscapes can be connected by delivering the integration platform offerings in the cloud. So the focus is really evolving based on the patterns like API-driven, event-driven integration. So that's where SAP came up with the cloud-based integration service, or tool we can call it as. which is a kind of extended version of SAP PI PO, so which is getting ended by 2027 December as part of mainstream offering from SAP, and also the extended support from SAP till 2030. So it's obvious to customers that they need to move to the SAP Integration Suite. So where it is covering a lot of pre-built scenarios and also business events, which enables less coding compared to the PIPO on-premise solutions, and also the integration scenarios are much more compatible with the open connectors, so that you can talk to any service, whether it is SAP or non-SAP, with ease of navigations with low-code enablements. So that's where the integration suite is the recommended tool from SAP to have the integration scenarios within SAP ecosystem. So this particular diagram shows the highlights of the couple of integration scenarios, like lead to cash, or from considering the success factor or HR specific, hire to retire, and logistics specific. So there are a lot of pre-built scenarios where we can simply access from the API hub, and we can enhance, and then subsequently we can adapt to our integration requirements. So can we go to the next slide, Sridhar? Yeah. So basically, we would like to trying to show here like what exactly the process orchestration and integration suite specific differences, high level. So for example, the PO is again, it's a robust, and it's not something like a replaceable component from SAP, but since the cloud specific services and the cloud specific scenarios are increasing day by day, so SAP what they built on top of NetWeaver single stack, that is BPM and BRM specific components, along with the advanced adapter engine extended, that is PI. So these services, so instead of retiring these services, what SAP is trying to provide is, so they wanted to come up with some kind of integration flexibilities for enabling customers to move to integration suite. But however, before that, so we also need to understand a couple of complexities with the process orchestration. That is, we have to maintain the hardware and the software which need to be installed on premise, and then it requires a kind of custom developments for any third-party integrations, comparatively the advanced script way of based, like Groovy and JavaScript based enablements are not there. So we have to build a logic which go with the classic examples like Java UTFs or Java mappings, and a lot of scenarios, even a web proxies migrating to single stack. These are all the couple of challenging areas in the process orchestration. But when it comes to the integration security or integration scenarios, encryption or decryption, still process orchestration is much stronger. So the integration suite is still adopting a lot of changes and a lot of advanced features. But when it comes to the licensing model and all, which is very flexible, and we no need to worry about the patching of the changes or the beta features. We can experience the beta features offered by SAP, which we will discuss in upcoming slides. So because of those features, we can leverage what advanced features can bring value to our integration patterns. So these are all available. And again, the next generation API management capabilities are there with the integration suite, and communicating the different system through OAuth enablements. So a lot of advanced features are there within the integration suite. So these are the high level changes, differentiators we can show here. Yeah. So this is why we need to move to integration suite. So what exactly the offering from SAP when it comes to moving from process orchestration. So basically, in process orchestration, and its older variants are like, before 7.5. So majority of the focus is on, developers creating point-to-point integrations. And with SAP Integration Suite, basically looking at the solution that has end-to-end capabilities, which helps the integration application that are running on any environment, like be within customer data center or public or private. So there is no challenges in terms of managing the solution and also governing the system. So this is completely managed by SAP and fully managed solution from SAP, ensuring the all operational overheads and consents are reduced when it comes to compared to PO. And the development is also very much accelerated when it comes to pre-built content and intelligent recommendations. Even it is having the leverages the machine learning specific intelligence scenarios also there, so which are very much not possible in the PO aspect. So since we already discussed like the pre-built integration scenarios, like 2,500 integration scenarios are there, and 200 plus business events are there, and even the 200 plus connectors are there, which are compatible for SAP and non-SAP applications. And even SAP is offering around 35 plus government specific integrations also, which can all be found in the API business hub. So these are all advantages where we have to move flexible to the cloud, considering flexible cloud commercial models and versatile integration capabilities. So SAP is highly recommending to move to process orchestration to integration suite. So these are all the end-to-end integration point of view and the faster modeling aspect for the integration scenarios, and with great flexibility when it comes to low-code aspect. So there are a lot of safeguarding existing investment in terms of phased manner of migration from PO to integration suite, with the reusing of the existing development skills. So lifecycle management and build process automation these are all the advanced enablements of integration suite, which gives an end-to-end integration faster for the customers. Yeah. Okay. So Sridhar, you want to add anything here? So why we need to move to integration suite here?
Yeah, I mean, once again, it is a summary of what all we discussed in the previous slide, right? I mean,
Yes.
all the technologies have been changing. Government, one another important point is, I mean, maybe around 20 years ago, governments were not really as active as today. For example, when it comes to invoice verifications, when it comes to e-invoicing related details, when it comes to document compliances, there are various different scenarios wherein businesses needed to integrate with many, including governments also of late. So with all of these various requirements, legal compliances, related requirements coming into play, technologically world has been changing. All of these put together, whatever Prasad really covered as part of the previous one, this is a summary of all of those points. PAPO is actually kind of getting into mainstream support. I mean, ending of mainstream support till 2027 only. After that, I mean, it is going to move towards extended maintenance, wherein customers have to enter into individual agreements for them to continue support on PAPO. And SAP Integration Suite, I mean, obviously, this is going to be a change in the customers' landscapes when it comes to moving their integrations from a PAPO kind of a system. By the way, it is not necessary that PAPO was actually being used as a integration platform, but if you were to move to SAP Integration Suite as the to-go integration platform, to-be integration platform, there are various ways, but I mean, we are covering predominantly in the current context of PIPO related migrations to, SAP Integration Suite. But I mean, if you have some interest towards actually, understanding what are our capabilities are in general, what are the best practices that you should follow, what are the guidelines that you should consider for moving a third-party integration platform-based scenarios to an SAP Integration Suite. We actually have started doing that for some other customers, wherein we are moving from integrations from logic apps or maybe MuleSoft and so on. Also, I mean, we are actually moving from that too. So we can actually cover that, I mean, at a later stage, but we are currently focusing on PI Pivot Integration Suite. Yeah, that said, there are all, it is not a new, it's not that everything is lost. I mean, basically, what all the investments that you made in the PIPO system, those licenses can be really renegotiated with SAP, and you can move on towards the SaaS-based licensing model. That is on one side. So there is going to be some amount of, negotiation that can happen with SAP, so that your existing and earlier investments towards PIPO licenses can be created towards SAP Integration Suite licenses that can be negotiated. And that is on the investment side. Your existing skill sets, wherein people who were there within your own organization, probably supporting your PIPO related interfaces or integrations flowing, and through that, all of those can be repurposed going forward, I mean, for even SAP Integration Suite related developments or support as well. And then more importantly, software is something that is going to be taken care by SAP in itself. Any new features, the beta features that Prasad was referring to, even the beta features can also be utilized while those were in beta stages in itself. So there is definitely a lot of value in terms of moving our integrations to a SaaS-based integration, API-based integration, event-driven based integration, and so on. So, I mean, it is, and also in line with the future, your S4 could come into play, a lot of other SaaS solutions could come into play. And this is one of the major changes that actually should be planned. And no better time than actually start planning for moving to SAP Integration Suite than now. Go ahead, Prasad.
Yeah. So here, when it comes to the migration options, so we have 3 options actually. So, but the I'll also talk about the third option, but the important options are highlighted here. So, option 1 is the customer who wanted to, who wants the complete migration in terms of like from PO to Integration Suite, where they would like to retire the PO. So by reusing the artifacts which were there in the PO, existing PO, and moving away from the custom integration to standardized content maintained by and delivered by SAP, the option one is very much suitable. So there are the assessments and migration tools where SAP is coming up with the assessment and also migration tools, which really plays major roles in terms of providing the migration flexibility. And the second one is whereas first one is direct complete migration, but the second one is hybrid migration. So considering the C2C and G2C and B2 government, and also the scenarios like G2G and B2B. So customer may wanted to have the hybrid approach suiting their requirement, like moving the cloud to cloud scenarios and on-premise to cloud scenarios and government integration scenarios to Integration Suite, and still they can maintain the same process integration for managing their existing B2B scenarios. But however, SAP is coming up with a integration suite that can be managed on-premise with the edge integration cell. So that need to be, it's a containerized based integration cell. So that need to be installed on-premise. So where SAP is investing, and definitely I think they will be delivering mostly this year, first quarter, I believe. So where that's going to be hybrid migration with the third approach, where the complete scenarios are going to be managed between Integration Suite and process and orchestration with the edge integration cell installation. So this is going to be much more interesting when it comes to moving the scenarios with less effort. So, but at this point in time, without edge integration cell. These are the two scenarios. One is direct migration and other is hybrid migration. So, and what are all the steps going to be involved? What are all the limitations? We'll see in the next slide. So yeah, So this is the various phases like assessment and planning, preparing and migrating, test and go live, and post go live. So when it comes to assess, so the complete integration strategy need to be conducted as a workshop, and the migration assessment need to be done so that the number of artifacts built at PO level can be migratable to the PO or not, or if migratable, what is the level of fixing at the integration suite level. So there are multiple scenarios like classic and BPM related scenarios cannot be migratable directly into the integration suite. So there are limitations, but however those can be addressed based on the migration assessment provided by the tools. We can also use self-service tools, script-based tools. Once we know we have complete visibility in terms of connecting from integration suite to the PO ESR repositories, and then subsequently we need to extract the data to plan the migration, and then we have to prepare in terms of the design review, and then subsequently we have to we may need to build a proof of concept, generally like to just gain the customer confidence and also to understand the any gaps in terms of the assessment, and then migration need to be done based on the assessment report where manual intervention required, and also SAP is offering template-based approach, so like which is automated or semi-automated way where migration can be done. So, but majority of the migration needs the testing efforts. So for that, again, SAP is also recommending to go with the licensed certified partners who are having the the assessment tool for in terms of testing. So which will avoid majority of the manual interventions, because the 60 to 65% of the testing efforts required for this migration, and then go live and post go live. So each of every phase requires a kind of efforts in terms of understanding the complete PO scenarios, complex wise and also efforts wise. So that's where the assessment report will give us more visibility. So which is in beta phase from the SAP. Yeah. So yeah. So this is the way where the how ESR report need to be connected, because majority of the customers might be having whether the ESR content can be imported into the integration suite or not, whether how that can be configured, and how many I'm having, let us say 4 PIPO systems in my landscape. So all those need to be migrated the content into the integration suite, how that can be done, and what are all the contents now it supports, like message mapping, operational mapping, and the service interfaces which were there in the PO. So these are all supported, but however the ESR version is from 7.3 SAP is recommending. The previous versions, if customer wanted to do, so they need to upgrade to the 7.5. So then they can do the migration assessment, because the assessment tools are compatible for the 7.5 onwards only. So this assessment tool is a glimpse of how the ESR being connected, where we need to configure the cloud connector to the ESR system, that is PO system, and then subsequently you need to manage the data extraction, and that is the scenarios extraction. Okay, so yeah, so we can go to the next. Yeah, so migration assessment tool and migration tool and the regression test tool. So these are the three services which are going to be play major role in terms of PO move to SAP Integration Suite. So when it comes to migration tool and migration assessment tool and migration tool, these are the two new beta features from SAP which supposed to release in the last quarter. But however, I could see a couple of release information that this year first quarter SAP is trying to release these tools. So, but customers can have an experience once they enable the beta features in their integration suite. So, which is available for the standard edition and also the premium edition of integration suite. So, where here it's going to connect with the different process integration landscape, and then it will extract the data, and then subsequently it will show where the showstoppers are, where we need to put our efforts in terms of. I may not say it's going to be 99 or 100% accurate, but it will give majority of the 80% of the assessment report, where we can have the number of integrations count when it comes to completely migratable, or when it comes to partially migratable, or when it comes to cannot be migrated, where we may need to redesign. So those things can be, the report or dashboard can be, as an outcome we can see from the assessment tool. But the migration tool, it is a tool where it will do the automation of the ICO, that is integration configuration within PO, to iFlows of integration suite. So this tool is actually based on the templatized based automation, where the templates are going to be generated from the assessment tool. So then regression test tool. So this is the major area where the handshake between the systems and also the business scenarios, how the business scenarios are acting, and also any field mappings are different, when it comes to the target system changes. These are all can be identified with the regression test tool, including the performance and also. These are the, SAP at this point in time, they are not yet confirmed the regression test tool, but they're suggesting to go with certified partners to have these tools. Yeah, so as I said, migration assessment tool. So this tool is a part of integration suite as a beta feature at this point in time is available. So this suite will provide us in terms of the charts, like here we can see the migration status, and also the next chart, it shows about the effort estimation, and also the adapters, sender and receiver adapters in the down chart, and also list of the integration scenarios supported by these adapters in the integration suite. So these are all the dashboards from where we can definitely estimate the timeline, even the migration scenario. So the green color shows majority of the integration scenarios count, which can be migratable easily. So red color legend indicates evaluate, and the other indicates in terms of in the chart top, if you can see, so there are three legends, right? So evaluate and migratable. So the font is very small here, so sorry for that. So but because of this dashboard, we can simply understand how many scenarios can be migratable with minimal efforts, and what are all the scenarios. For example, the process integration or PIPO, let us have, it is calling Java mapping, where with the calling of some HTTP endpoint URLs. So those kind of things cannot be used straight away in the integration suite. So those need to be redesigned, and we also need to be endpoint URL configurations in the integration suite, where we may need to use Groovy script in terms of redesigning the things. So even in the case of SOAP center channels, so the endpoint URL configuration is cannot be straightforward in the integration suite, where we need to do the minor configuration. So like that, we need to understand the adapters which are supported, and the adapters, for example, we have SFTP, some JDBC, or we have HTTP specific, we have SOAP. So all these things are going to be listed here. So then we can easily understand how many adapters are being configured in my integration scenarios in PO, and subsequently what are all the compatibilities in the integration suite. So that's where the migration assessment tool will give very much a clear indication in terms of estimating the timeline for the migration. So this is of course still in beta, but yeah, SAP is still applying a lot of changes. So this is again, it's a tool. After once we receive the assessment, what we need to do. So in the chat we have seen, right, scenarios can be migratable, scenarios cannot be migratable, and SAP once we see scenarios are migratable, then they'll release some templates with the required parameters and all that, and also template IDs. So we need to use those template IDs for the particular scenario, and then subsequently we have to navigate to the respective navigations in the integration suite to start the scenarios to be automatically created as iFlows from integration configuration. That is, we call it as ICO, and then it's going to be converted into iFlows within integration suite. So yeah. So here, as we discussed, this is the third stage, that is integration regression testing. So this is where, like, the testing is a substantial part of the migration effort, because we have to test in many scenarios, not only the custom logic migrations, and also the specific configurations when it comes to handshaking and the OAuth enablement or security certificate authentications. So there are a lot of manual things need to be addressed. Those can be identified in terms of testing. So right, so these are all testing aspect benefits once we apply some integration testing, regression testing tools. However, like, being, YASH is having much experience in terms of enabling customers for the integration regression testing. So we are also having capabilities in terms of providing services for the integration migrations. So Sridhar, you want to add anything here?
So, to be very honest, no additional points to be added, but testing obviously is expected to be done, and testing is one of the important steps, right? So SAP is also building its own capabilities. SAP is also building its own, possibly, bringing some additional testing capabilities to the SAP Integration Suite layer or that portfolio. In the meantime, there are a couple of certified SAP partner solutions that are available for you to use as far as the regression testing is concerned. We did not name those partner solutions, but there are hardly 2 or 3 that are certified, that are available in SAP Store, that can actually help the overall regression testing in totality. So those are very much known in the partner community, in the SAP community, in the customer community as well. So those definitely can be utilized.
Yeah. So when it comes to the guidelines and best practices for once we targeted to move to integration suite, so we have to definitely follow the guidelines and best practices for the integration flow designs, iFlow design. So because everything cannot be migratable, but the redesign aspect when it comes to lookups in the message monitoring, message mappings. So when it comes to lookups and RFC lookups or any other lookups point of view, we that cannot be used as it is in the integration suite, right? So we have to work on the content enrich and the content provider aspect in the integration suite. So we have to use a couple of features within the integration suite. So, and also we also need to use as a reference for the API Business Hub, which contains the predefined content when it comes to enhance the integration, and also the guidelines provides what are all the naming standards and also the standards which we need to follow as part of the integration design and guidelines, which are available in the SAP help document very clearly. And also a couple of SAP product expert blogs, which talks on the exactly one scenarios, whether integration suite supports or not, and what is the roadmap of SAP as part of integration suite when it comes to the features adoption from PO to integration suite. May not be straightforward, but there are a couple of different workarounds, and still it is getting evolved. Now we believe once the customer starts migrating from PO to IS, there are a lot of features or incidents or reference incidents might going to be increase for SAP product team in terms of understanding the customer experiences. That's where they started with the beta features. But however, customer who want to enable the beta features, definitely they can start working on it with the help of partners, and then subsequently all the product maturities can be increased in the integration suite. So and also like the patterns which need to be integrated, considered in terms of integration suite design, like we have open connectors, patterns, and also third-party services. And also when it comes to migrating from not only PO, migrating from, so we have a couple of customers where we are working hardly in terms of migrating from BizStack to integration suite, and also Logic Apps to integration suite, Snap Logics to integration suite, so MuleSoft to integration suite. So there are a lot of challenges which we could see in terms of migrating from these third-party integration solutions to integration suite. So even Delboomi to integration suite. So majority of the customers who are using Delboomi for their SF integration, now they are considering SAP Integration Suite as their middleware, because the integration suite is multi-cloud enabled at this point in time, which is much more powerful compared to Neo-based integration suite. So that's where in our earlier webinars, we have given a kind of gist of moving Neo-based integration solutions scenarios to CF-based, that is multi-cloud based integration services. So where we need to consider all the the integration guidelines and best practices when it comes to moving to integration suite. Yeah, so these are all the when it comes to re-platforming to integration suite, what are all the values the accelerators can bring to the journey of moving the integration scenarios to integration suite. So when it comes to business aspect, definitely it will reduce the cost of maintenance, and also it will reduce the skills which are now, I can say old, going to be become an old skill in terms of managing the PO level complex scenarios or BPMN specific scenarios. So BPM scenarios. So those are all going to be avoided with the low code enablement within the integration suite. So that is the skill management or skill maintenance. SAP is going to making majority of the low code aspect into the integration suite. Either DevOps can also be applied in terms of migrating the integration scenarios from preview to or test tenant to production environments. So these are all a couple of things which are not possible with the on-premise, or you may need to involve the services like Solman, and also involving in different levels of the skills which need to be collaboratively work in terms of managing the system. But in terms of integration suite, SAP is giving predefined, so only click and execute. So you no need to worry about writing scripts in the backend. So these are all definitely brings value add when it comes to re-platforming to integration suite. So that's where tooling support, which is going to be provides the insight into the current setup of PAPO interfaces with the accelerator or assessment tools, which is a value proposition from SAP when it comes to migrating. And also they provide the migration integrators that gives a dashboard way of providing the complete assessment report, where we can understand how much effort need to be put in, and also how that can be optimized considering the assessment report or dashboard results. So this is also one of the value proposition for the customer who wanted to move to the integration suite. And then SAP always releases the continuous improvements. That's where the beta features which will enable even the platform specific subsequent complex scenarios can be addressed with respect to the continuous improvements. So that's where we can see event mesh advanced. Now SAP released advanced event mesh, And now SAP is also coming up with the event-driven integration, where we no need to worry about developing the integration flows, and also only we need to worry about connectivities. And then subsequently, once, for example, if I take S/4HANA Cloud, so our sales SFDC, so any event occurred in the SFDC or S/4HANA Cloud, the subsequent notification will be triggered automatically. And also subsequent, you don't need to worry about how the event is going to be triggered, what is the iFlow need to be designed, modeling need to be designed. All these are going to be pre-built, so predefined. Only we need to just download the package and deploy and then configure with very minor specific skills to be required in terms of enhancing. So that's where the integration suite brings much more value proposition in terms of re-platforming to integration suite from PIPO versions. Yeah, so this is actually a kind of gist or summary we would like to present here as part of the roadmap. So the first two boxes talks about complete migration specific beta features and the edge integration cell, which is going to be next generation hybrid integration runtime, which will be it is a containerizer runtime. This runtime is going to be having the API-led integration and also event bridge for event-driven integration. This is actually very advanced in terms of moving the scenarios from on-premise to integration suite. And also we no need to worry about leveraging the PO for all the scenarios. Only couple of services we can manage with the PO, and integration cell, the edge integration cell will provide the runtime within on-premise as a integration suite runtime. So this is a kind of hybrid integration runtime. This will be the next generation integration suite with the on-premise compatibility. And there are like API-led integrations where SAP came up with a graph as part of API management capability to increase out-of-the-box integrations with the data graph. This is also one of the beta feature. And also event-driven integration, as I given a kind of example, like the event-driven configurations need to be done in the subsequent systems, where the event brokers will be federated with the content updates into the SAP systems. Then integration governance is again, we have the capabilities, but SAP is now increasing with the integration governance by providing various assessment capabilities to identify the integration technology strategy across the, based on the ISAM, so integration service oriented architecture aspect. And also they also trying to provide much more integration capabilities through few of the automation services and the machine learning services integration with the integration suite. These are all the couple of roadmap within 2023. We believe we can expect more outcomes in terms of having the integration capabilities, because the integration suite is not only for CPI PI, it contains CPI DS and CPI automations and CPI modeling, and there are a lot of scenarios SAP is trying to incorporate within the integration suite. So these are the top recent innovations from SAP.
So Naveen, I guess, we did not really announce that the question answers could be used, but are there any questions that are already there?
Absolutely. So while the webinar was on, I see there are 4 questions, interesting questions that our audience have asked. Let's take, since we have time, so we can quickly take those. So first question is how to handle adapter module while moving from SAP PO to cloud integration.
Prasad, do you want to take it ahead?
Yeah, sorry. So basically, adapter modules are actually not supported in the cloud integration. So there are different workarounds and even best practices in terms of implementing adapter modules in the integration suite. A couple of scenarios, like we may need to replicate the adapter module replace the adapter module with cloud integration flow steps like Groovy scripts and content modifiers. If another approach, also would be creating custom adapters using adapter development kit, where SAP is offering a adapter development kit. So using that, we can develop the adapters, and then subsequently we can handle the adapter modules.
Thank you, Prasad, for answering that. So next question is how to move from SAP PO B2B toolkit to SAP Integration Suite?
Basically, SAP PO is very much compatible with the BTP scenarios. But when it comes to SAP Integration Suite, we have a service called Integration Advisor. So the Integration Advisor will give us more helps in terms of understanding the BTP related mappings and what are all the scenarios can be reusable artifacts, could be imported to the cloud integration to work on the end-to-end BTP scenarios. So basically, the answer is we have to use Integration Advisor, which helps the understand the customer B2B related mappings. At the moment, it is not straightforward. This is the toolkit which we need to use.
Okay, got it. The next question would be, is it possible to reuse value mapping of SAP PO in cloud integration?
So see, basically it is yes, we can use value mapping, but the artifacts, as I said, like once we see the assessment tool, assessment report, so a couple of artifacts which we may not use straightforward, but in short, yes, it is possible to reuse value mapping artifacts of PO in the cloud integration.
Got it. Thank you, Prasad. So the last question for today would be how to reuse external definition while moving from SAP PO to cloud integration.
Yeah, so I mean external definitions in the sense we have XST and WSDL, so we can call it call as XST and WSDL. So these can be exported and imported manually into the cloud integration. So basically, like when it comes to reusing, we have to do manually.
Thank you, Prasad, and thank you, Sridhar, for sharing your insight on in our third episode. That brings us to the end of our webinar sessions. I'm sure the audience would have many more questions. So you can always write to us at info@yash.com. That is info@yash.com.